Hey everybody, this is Natalie Griffin, and I am so glad that you could join me tonight for a talk about something real, a talk about what is this next chapter of your life going to be like, a talk about your soul. And I'm really thrilled to tell you about Dharma School. And in this class tonight, what we're going to talk about is the number one reason that your soul is aching, if there's a little ache in there, and we're going to talk about what is that and what you can do to finally find real fulfillment, not just on the surface. So welcome to the night. This is for you. This program tonight, it's about 30 minutes of your time, and it's for you if you feel like you've done everything right and still you don't feel happy, maybe even feel a little stuck or trapped in a job or in a relationship and don't see a way out of it. Maybe you've tried all kinds of ways to feel better. You've changed your diet, you've done keto, you've gone vegan, you've gone on retreats all over the world. Maybe you've even done years of therapy and still it feels like something is not quite right. Maybe you find yourself kind of trapped in the grind of the 9 to 5 or the 7 to 7, some of you, or the 7 to 7 to 7, the 24-hour schedule. And maybe you are tired of taking care of everyone else and think, man, there's got to be more to life than this. And you're right, there is more to life. And my promise to you tonight is that you're going to discover the one thing that's going to help you go from feeling a little bit trapped in a passionless life or just trapped at all to feeling alive again. And you can get results in this as little as 1 month with the techniques that we use in Dharma School. And it works even if everything else that you've tried has failed. With this process that I'm going to share with you tonight, you can feel more connected. You can stay calm and centered no matter what's going on in your life or what's going on in the world. And one of my favorite things about this soul work is that you learn a way to live life on your terms. You don't have to follow the expectations of your family or your ancestors. You don't have to be, driven by obligation. There is a way that you can live life on your terms and find some of what we call soul freedom. So tonight, if you stick with me for these 33 minutes or so, you will get a free gift. So I hope you finished what you start. So let's dive in. And I wonder if you can relate to any of this. Maybe you hide important parts of yourself. And when you're with certain groups of people, this part comes out, and with another group of people, that comes out. Maybe you say, sure, yes, when something inside is saying, no, no. Maybe you've lost your no along the way. Maybe you feel like you're working really hard just to keep it all together, just to keep everything straight, just to keep up. Tonight, this is for you if you feel a little bit ashamed that you aren't happier because, look around, it's pretty good and other people have it way worse. And I should be happier. Maybe that thought has gripped your mind before. Maybe you have relationships with people that maybe don't treat you quite the way that you want to be treated, but you think, well, that's probably as good as it's going to get. And you make excuses. And deep down inside, there might be a little feeling that it could be your fault anyway. This is as good as you can get. You don't deserve better. And maybe over the years, you feel like little parts of you have been chipped away through trauma or through just life experiences. And if any of this relates to you, then you are exactly in the right place. Excuse me. And I'm sure you've probably already tried things like reading books. I mean, how many of you haven't read all of Brene Brown's books? What about Gabby Bernstein? What about Jack Kornfield or Thich Nhat Hanh? There are so many books out there about how to live a fulfilled life. Books, yoga, therapy, lots of kale. There are so many different things that you could try and still it's not getting you the long-term results. Then you'll definitely want to stick around. Because if those things didn't work for you, there's a possibility that you're not getting the long-term results you want because you are exhausted of the trying. You might even feel like you're at your wit's end. And here's why I say that those things might not be working for you. It's not your fault. Books work with the mind, but they don't necessarily inspire changes in life practices. They don't cultivate wisdom. They do cultivate knowledge, which is an important step, but it does not cultivate wisdom to read books. Yoga is a life practice, and it helps the body. It can help the energetic body even, but it doesn't really support you with the emotional learning that's necessary for a fulfilled life. Therapy can help you with emotional learning, but it might not help you with the body or the energetic realms. And hallucinogenic retreats, maybe you've gone on an ayahuasca retreat or a bufo retreat or psilocybin, you've worked with these plant medicines, and they can help in the energetic realms if you're working with a trained practitioner, but it doesn't necessarily help you with all the other aspects of this work. And the same with pharmaceutical drugs. If you're seeing a psychiatrist and you're using pharmaceutical drugs to balance out the chemistry in your body, that's brilliant. It helps level set things so that you can function. And it's very important. And there are other parts of you that might need to come to life so that you can not only survive, but thrive. So all of these are helpful, and not one of them is complete on their own. So it's not your fault if it's not working. And if you feel exhausted and at your wit's end, that can happen with all of the trying. So what you need to know is that the real problem goes much deeper than any of these techniques can even talk about. The secret lies in your foundation. Old foundations cannot support the new you. I'm going to say that again a little bit differently. You are trying to evolve into a new way of being. Maybe you want to lose weight. Maybe you want to be kinder. Maybe you want to be less stressed. Maybe you want to lower your blood pressure. Maybe you want to change jobs, relationships. Something's got to give. So you're going to be creating a new way of being in the world. And if you try to create this new way of being in the world, your old foundation will not support it. Your old foundation cannot support the new way of being in the world. When people are trying to do that, people are trying to put new behaviors on top of an old foundation, it can leave people feeling unworthy and not valuable and fragmented because they're running all over the place, trying to feel that sense of wholeness, that sense of peace, that sense of power, that sense of purpose. It's a lot of P's, I know, but I like that alliteration. Other things that you can see with old foundations, when people are trying to put new behaviors on top of old foundations, they might date or marry somebody that doesn't quite treat them the way they want to be treated. They might not ask for that raise. They might work twice as hard as the people around them. They might be kind of addicted to achievement after achievement after achievement because they're proving to themselves and anyone who will listen that they are valuable. And the way they've learned how to do that is through achieving. And they think it's the only way to be of value in the world. Sometimes they will dismiss compliments because deep down inside, they think you're lying, or they think there's no way that could be true for them. And one day, these people realize that they're kind of trapped in a life that doesn't fit. It's almost like they're living a life of someone else's expectations. And people will wake up to this idea and realize, oh my gosh, if I could create it all differently, I wouldn't have created it this way. And then they can feel trapped. And then they get tired. And it's the kind of tired that doesn't fix itself with a nap. It's the kind of tired that's in your bones. It's the kind of tired that is in your soul. If you're feeling any of these things, you're not alone. You're absolutely not alone. The one thing that all of these people have in common, and there are thousands and thousands of them around the world, of people just like this, just like you perhaps. The one thing that everyone has in common is that they have become disconnected. They've just become disconnected with who they are. They've become disconnected with their physical body, with the world around them. They've become too filled with perhaps fear or something that's keeping them from that connection. And when we talk about it, what they've mainly become disconnected with is their soul and a sense of their soul. And that can leave a deep emptiness inside that none of those other practices will fill. So here's what's going on with our soul. The worst part about this is that we're having this soul fatigue as a culture around the world. We are having a soullessness kind of take over, and a numbness that's pervading throughout the world. And when our soul is aching, we don't even have anybody that we can talk to about it. If you look back in the 1940s, over 73% of us were identifying as a member of a church, a synagogue, or a mosque. And so these communities served a purpose. There was a ritual around it, a weekly meeting time where you would get together with people who shared your view of life. And you would talk about things that were going well. You would talk about things that were hardships, and you would share those burdens with one another to lighten the load. And there were also guides. There were people that were priests. There were people, ministers, other guides, other spiritual leaders that could help and mentor you. And then over the years, somewhere around 2000, we started to break up with these organized religions as a culture. And now only 47% of us belong to any of these organizations. And therefore, we don't know where to go when our soul hurts. So our choices are to ignore it, which is what most of us have done and learned to do, or try to figure out who to talk to. So we go online and we look for someone to talk to about what's going on in the state of our soul. And we go down and down these rabbit holes, and you might find brilliant practitioners. You might discover some new things. You might hear some conspiracy theories out there. You might find some crackpots out there. And certainly you're going to find traditions that will take you up into the mountains of a sacred place thousands of miles away, where you give up your possessions and you give up everything and you just live in the safe sanctuary of an ashram. And for a lot of us, none of these things are practical. None of these things are going to work for us. And so we go back to getting busy. We go back to pretending like our soul isn't aching, and we go back to doing the things that help us feel nothing. Things like shopping, things like working too much, things like talking on the phone 24/7. We start to numb in so many different and creative ways. So the reason I love what we do in Dharma School, in all of our programming, is that you don't have to quit your job or go live on a mountain or spend millions of dollars or get a divorce or really change your life in any deep way on the outside. The change that we teach you how to make is from the inside. And you don't have to take drugs to do this. You don't have to sit and talk with someone for 20 years. It's so much more practical in terms of having a family, having a role in this beautiful world, and changing from the inside out how we participate with all of it. We talk about being in right relationship with money, with friends, with people around us, with our bodies, with ourselves, with our identity in the world, and with our purpose. So the only reason I can tell you all this is because I've been through some stuff. It has been good, it has been bad, and some of it has even been ugly. So I'm going to reintroduce myself. My name is Natalie Griffin, and I'm best known for helping leaders become more conscious so that they can make good decisions for their organizations, for their teams, for their companies, and for their families, and for themselves. To be a strong leader in one's own life, a soulful leader. My work has been published in the Harvard Business Review. It's been featured on TEDx stage, and I'm really proud to be working with the University of Connecticut in their Sharp Research Lab to talk about some of the research and outcomes of our programs. These are some of the wonderful companies that I've worked with. And even though I'm a sought out expert in this area of personal leadership and growth, I want you to know it wasn't always that way. And I'll show you what I mean. I was a corporate rock star, at least in my own mind, right? I thought I had it all. I was named 40 under 40 and someone to watch and published in different places. And I had it all. It was so perfect. The perfect kids, the perfect vacations. It was all so perfect. And I always put a perfect smile on my face. It was perfect. Damn it. Except that it wasn't. At night, I would secretly fall apart. I would often hide in the bathroom where no one could hear me, and I would cry and cry and cry. And I was gripped by insecurity and unease. And I would ruminate about, what did I tell that person today in the office? What will they think of me? And did it make sense? And I should have said this, but what if I said that? Maybe tomorrow I need to fix it. And I was so frustrated with everyone and so irritated by everything. And I yelled. I yelled a lot. I even yelled at my kids, my dog, and most of all, I yelled at myself. And it just kept beating me down from the inside. And I felt broken. I thought something was really wrong with me. And I felt hopeless and lost. But then I had this other life where I was branded as somebody to watch. So I had to keep that inner life of pain a total secret, totally separate from my outer life. And I developed a really thick wall, a barrier. So there was this outside version of me and then this very private version of me. And I worked very hard to maintain that wall so that I could hide my pain so that people would think I was good enough. And then I had this weird meeting that changed everything. I was running late to a meeting and I bumped into a gentleman that I was coaching, and he grabbed me just for a minute and said, "Hey, do you have a minute?" I said, "Yeah." He said, and he looked me right in the eye. It was so intimate for a corporate setting when people just look at you right in the eye. And he looked me right in the eye and he said, "Natalie, I need to set up time to talk with you because I have more money in the bank than I ever thought I would and a great life, and I'm miserable and I can't figure out why, and I don't know what to do." And I was quiet and I looked at him right in the eye back and I said, "I'm in the same boat. I don't know what to do either." And in a flash, we both realized, wow, that was really some truth telling. And then we went back to, "Oh, okay, see you next time. We'll set up a meeting." And I slapped a smile on my face and ran to my next meeting. So I'm leading this meeting and all I can feel is my heart fluttering. My heart had started to flutter. I started to get really sweaty and hot and nervous. That conversation with that gentleman right before the meeting really knocked something loose inside of me. And I started to spin, the room started to spin, and it felt like this. And it looked like that. It was ugly. And when I woke up, my team was looking at me like this. And as I was getting put into the ambulance after fainting in an executive meeting on this client that I was consulting for, the team members followed me down, and I remember I looked at their face and they were concerned for sure, but there was this other look on their face of almost like, well, there it is. They were disappointed and they knew they were never going to look at me the same way. And my image had been shattered. So after I got out of the hospital, I stayed home for several days and I tried to figure out what had happened and why. And I didn't feel comfortable in my own skin, and that crack in the wall that kept my private life separate was now getting bigger, and my private life was leaking all out in all these places as people heard about what had happened. And I just couldn't hold it together anymore. I remember walking around the house not knowing what to do with myself because I couldn't go back to who I had been because there was no wall. That wall was useless now. And I couldn't go forward either. So I was stuck in this weird limbo, and I had to figure out what had cracked open and how to put myself back together again. But I knew one thing for sure is that when I put myself back together again, I wanted to do it differently. I wanted to stand on a more solid foundation and build my life more from the inside out so that every kind of cross-eyed look didn't send me into a spin of insecurity. I didn't even know what to Google. So I Googled healing. Oh, there were so many wonderful things down that rabbit hole. But I also found doctors, and I tried medicine, and I talked to all my inner child. I did all these different things and even yoga, but it was all disjointed. And none of these people were talking to each other. They couldn't all relate to the other things. And it just left me feeling frustrated and lost even more. And nothing seemed to work totally. Everything worked a little bit. And so I was alive and I was participating in life, but I didn't have that vitality that I knew was inside of me. So I called my coach and I said, Debbie, how do I heal? And she said something that changed my life. She said, Natalie, you have got to make a choice. You have got to make your health and healing a priority. And it blew my mind because I was like, wait, that sounds a little selfish, Debbie. That might work for other people, but that's not going to work for me. I got a family. I got a business to run. I got things and people. And she said, go do it. Find something that speaks to your soul, even if it's weird, and see what happens. And so I did. I dove into the teachings of yoga and shamanism, which were interests of mine ever since I was in high school. And so then I got a great opportunity to travel and work with teachers in different countries like Peru, here in the States, on different reservations here, also down in Chile and in Hawaii. And I got to learn about some of the indigenous wisdom that existed before we had modern medicine. And for the first time in months, I felt hope and I smiled, like an actual real smile. And I almost forgotten what that was like. And I learned through all of these teachers, I learned about energetic imprinting. And this is a picture of me on top of Salcantay, which is a great mountain in Peru. It's the mountain of the undomesticatable feminine energy. It's right across from her partner, the masculine energy. And this is a beautiful lagoon right at the glacial line where I received my initiation rites. So what I learned from all these teachers is that we carry energetic imprints. We carry codes in our luminous field. Our luminous field is like a software system that kind of programs our physical body, and it works really well. It helps us discharge negative energy. It helps us drink in positive energy. It helps balance out our systems. And when we have these old codes through our ancestral lines that work a lot like a computer virus. And for instance, if our ancestors lived through the Great Depression, there might be some energetic codes in there for a fear of starvation, which in this life makes us eat a lot of food because we're like, wow, we don't know when the next meal is going to come. It's not logical, but it's embedded in our energy codes. These energy codes can affect our moods, our habits, our way of viewing the world, and it can limit our potential. Now, what's fascinating about this is that shamans have known about this for thousands of years, and science is catching up in the field of epigenetics. I'm not an expert in epigenetics, but I do work with a few people who are. And the one thing I can summarize this as is that an epigenetic tag is essentially a protein on the outside of our DNA strand. And what they've discovered is that these proteins can physically be inherited from our ancestors. And they did so many studies, one with blueberries, one with mice. I can't wait to tell you about that another time. But they did a study with survivors of the Holocaust. And what they found is that 1, 2, and 3 generations behind them would have energetic tags. Some of them would have these energetic codes for scarcity, for fear of scarcity. Others would have codes for resilience. And so before we were even born, we inherited moods, emotions, and character traits from our ancestors. And all of it is subconscious. It's at this tiny level of the building blocks of our lives. So here's another way to think about this is if you think about all this space in our past has a lot of momentum and it's pushing us forward. All of our ancestral learning is pushing us forward through life, and we are repeating so many of their patterns over and over again. Even though we know better, we continue to repeat them because they are embedded in our energetic coding. That momentum limits the possibilities that we have for the future because it's the past that's driving the bus. So what we do in Dharma School is we want to shift that inertia into soul momentum. We want to start shifting and decreasing the amount of momentum that's coming at us from our past, this lifetime and through the ancestral lines. And we want to gather the gifts from the ancestors, not just chop them off and hope for the best, but to gather and honor the gifts of our ancestors and use them to fuel a brighter present moment, and then release the heaviness of the past, the patterns that no longer serve us, so that our past is very light. And then what starts to drive the forward momentum are all of the power and gifts that we've claimed for ourselves now in this moment. And so we shift the momentum of our lives in this way. So I started sharing this 4-step process that we use in Dharma School, and I started showing it to other people and working with them. And that's when I created this easy formula, and it worked for them too. They loved it. In fact, I got to go to Croatia with these lovely gals who are PhDs in psychology and microbiology, and we got to talk about these discoveries. It was absolutely phenomenal. And we're getting great results in this program. People will tell you it changes their lives. And it doesn't change their lives because they got new jobs. It doesn't teach them how to get a new job. This program will teach you how to change how you relate to the world around you. It will change you from the inside out if that's what you're looking for. It is also a safe place for you to examine your soul, for you to examine, what do you believe in? What does matter to you? Where did we come from before we were born?
I don't know what you mean by.
Siri wants to know too. So we talk about those things, and we'll talk about, what do you think? You build your own cosmology so that you can come into a deep relationship with the all that is, and one that fuels your soul. You don't have to use my recipe. You don't have to use someone else's recipe. You don't have to use your ancestors' recipe. You can learn from many cultures and make the determination of what is going to work for you. So if I can do this, I'm a girl from Ohio. I had some great experiences and some ugly experiences, and I've completely transformed the way I approach life. And I've never experienced more joy. And everyone that has been through our programs has said the same thing. And if I can do that, you can too. And I would love to be your guide on that. It's our soul codes that are the key. So the one thing that is holding you back is it's not what you're thinking. It's in your DNA, literally. And we have a process that can help you release that. So you have a couple of choices that you can make if you're ready to take this journey into the soul, into growing the strength of your soul so that you can love deeper, be loved deeper, receive life at a deeper level, and have a more rich experience in the world all around. You can definitely continue reading and do what you've been doing and doing it on your own. I did that for many years, and it was so lonely. And I finally decided to take a risk and find community. So I tried something new because my coach, Debbie, said, try something new, something that speaks to your soul, even if it's weird. So let me right now be that coach for you and say, try something new, even if it sounds weird, because if it's speaking to your soul on any level, then there's some learning there for you. And you can go as far as you'd like. You can go just dip your toes into this work and get a lot out of it, or you can go and study our entire curriculum and become one of the teachers, one of the mentors of this work in the future, so that it can continue to be shared, as is the tradition. So I choose the journey to be with super cool people. We've got a tribe of thousands around the world in several different countries. And we've all been there, and we're still on journey. We're still on journey, not because we're broken. You are not broken. Your soul is craving a deeper experience to life. And that is not broken, that's awake. You are awakening. The planet is going through an awakening right now. And so many people don't know where to go to learn how to navigate this. And we can help. We can help remind you of who you are. So one program we have, if you kind of just want to dip your toes in the water and check us out, see if maybe we're a fit, you can get into the Soulfire program. It is easy to pay for. I think it's $50 or less, and it is online, and it's 17 videos and worksheets and lectures and practices that will help you rekindle the fire inside and learn how to nurture that. It'll also teach you the basic non-practices of the wisdom path of Dharma School. You can also join the Firekeeper program, which is a little more intense, and it's a 12-week program, 1 hour a week, just for your soul. You don't have to wear Lululemon, you don't have to do yoga, you don't even have to be on camera if you don't want to, but come. And it's a place to nurture your soul, where you will learn the 4 foundation practices to the work that we do in Dharma School. This is kind of where we kick things off. And you will also become a certified firekeeper and understand how to hold traditional healing fire ceremonies for yourself, for your families, and learn how to interact with nature and the natural world in a deeper way. We also have then the Heart of Dharma School, which is the Earthkeeper program, which is a 4-day live conference with me, and then 2 months of coaching on the back end, where we get down to the roots of you, your personal work of unclogging what has gotten stuck in that ancestral inertia and starting to build up your present by reclaiming the gifts so that your future and your destiny lines can shift. And that's the Earthkeeper program. If you continue to go for the full Monty, so to speak, then we have the Starkeeper program, which is 4-day conference and then intense coaching for 2 or 3 months, and then another final conference of 4 days, all live with me. I'll be with you along the way. And in that, you can earn a transpersonal coaching certificate to share this work with others. And you can just take it for your own self-efficacy so that you can dive deep into your own soul with these ancient practices and these leadership practices that can help you turn your life into whatever it is you're wanting. So that's what we got. We've got these amazing programs for you, and you might want to talk about which one's the right fit. You might just want to talk with us and ask us a bunch of questions, get to know more about us. So I want you to set up a calling call. You can sign up right now in the link below and just sign up and check us out. Or you can sign up for a calling call and we'll talk to you. We'll be like, you know what, start with Soulfire or jump right into Dharma School because you're ready. And we can help assess your readiness. We have a checklist. And so we can talk that over with you and see if you're ready to take the dive into this beautiful place of living from the soul. I hope you do, because there's never been a better time to do it. Never been a better time to do it than right now. So many people are hearing the calling. And I have a feeling if you're watching it through to this far, you've already heard that calling and just need to know where to go. Start with this phone call and see if it's a right fit for you. And we'll see if you're a right fit for us. This isn't for everybody. If you're a person that wants to be told what to do, told what to believe, then this is not for you. If you are a person that wants to give all your power away to a guru, I'm not your guru. What we'll do is guide you into your own wisdom. If you don't want to change anything in your life, you just want to keep continuing to do everything and thinking exactly the same way, doing the exact same stuff, and you expect the world to change around you, then this program is not for you either. But I'll tell you what, if you've got a feeling that you are meant for something more, that you are meant to serve others in a deep way, in a deeper way than selling furniture, in a deeper way than that, then we can help. We can help you discover some of your natural gifts and how to turn those into a reality, and maybe even turn them into a business if that's what's calling for you. So I'm going to stop this share so I can say hi. Hi. I hope that you enjoyed tonight, and I look forward to hearing from you. So give us a call. We're here. All right. This is Natalie Griffin. Ciao for now, my friends. We'll see you soon.